Don't look at your calendar. It's not football season, but it is a Wednesday, and Russ Mitchell's good enough to join us to talk a little college football. How are you, Russ?
Kicking tires, lighting fires, baby!
Is that what day 16 of quarantine sounds like?
Yes, it is!
When my friend Russ has officially lost his mind?
I am, although I did discover at the ripe young age of 51 that if you put a humidifier in your room at night and keep it 3 feet away from your bed, your dry cough will go away.
We've done that for like 5 years now with Drew. So
Yeah, no one ever told me.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you found. What kind of humidifier do you use?
I don't know.
Cleaning them's a problem though, because
it's
man,
a cold one.
you put the water in
one.
there though, and then it stays
Yeah.
in there, like it can get mildewy and stuff. So you got to make sure you clean that.
I don't do that. I leave the water until it runs out, and then I fill it with distilled water. That's what the instruction said. So I followed the instructions.
Make sure you're cleaning it though. That's an important thing.
Okay.
Did you see DraftKings has put out their projected win totals for 2020 football season?
I did.
Okay.
You got the Penn State people. You got the Penn Shame people up there thinking they're going to steal that title from the Tigers. My buddies like Ken, they're deluded, but they're feeling very optimistic.
Why?
I don't know, man. I don't know, because they're from they're Penn Shamers. That's what they do.
It's not going to go well for them.
I don't think so either, but you try to explain logic to those guys.
Okay. Well, let's look at some of the projected win total numbers. Let's start with your beloved LSU Tigers. How about LSU's projected win total at 9? The over-under at 9. What do you make of that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Are you asking me, would I play the push or would I go over or under? I like how the schedule plays out for LSU this year. Finishing at Auburn. Well, I think Auburn's going to be a good team. I think Auburn's a little underrated. What do they have Auburn at again?
They've got Auburn
at least 9, right?
9, same as LSU. 9. They've got Auburn and LSU at 9.
Bama at 11.
Alabama at 10.5.
Yeah.
Georgia at 10. Florida at 10. A&M at 9.5.
The A&M doesn't surprise me. I'd take the over on A&M, which is they're my least favorite stepchild right now. A&M, and it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while.
Okay.
They're it's kind of like the kid who took the car without permission and wrecked it. They're on the naughty list for a while after 2018.
Got it.
But if you look at their schedule, it's the inverse of last year's horrific schedule. They always struggle with Arkansas. I don't know what that's about, but I don't think they've got the road game at Auburn in October. They got the back-to-back games at Auburn, at South Carolina. I think the Gamecock one they should be able to handle, and the Auburn one will be interesting. But if they can manage that one, and they have Fresno State before that, State and Fresno State.
They're looking at Arkansas, then at Mississippi State, Fresno State, then the back-to-backs at Auburn, at South Carolina.
Right. So Auburn plays Georgia before they play A&M. Auburn plays A&M plays Fresno State. So I know it's in Jordan-Hare, but we'll know a lot more once we get to see the September. But if we see September, but then they have the week off. Then they have Halloween off. They come back, play Ole Miss at home and Vandy at home, which is another bye. And then it's at Bama, LSU at home. I think they lose both of those games.
So you think they're 10-0, and then lose their last 2 to finish 10-2?
Yes, which would be painful for the A&M Aggies to finish the season that way.
Their first 9 games, the only team they play that finished last year with a winning record is Auburn.
Yeah. Well, the ninth game is a bye. Oh no, it's Ole Miss, right?
Mhm.
Sorry, you were including Ole Miss, right? Ole Miss, South Carolina, Fresno State, Arkansas, Colorado, North Texas, and Abilene Christian.
That's it.
I must admit, I don't know what the Abilene Christian record was from 2018.
How could you not know that? They were 5-7. They finished 6th in the Southland. Didn't you know that?
I know. I must admit, I did not know that.
And you call yourself a college football writer.
I was busy focusing on the greatest season in the history of the sport.
Your LSU Tigers.
That was brought in by the Louisiana State University Fighting Tigers from the great state of Louisiana.
He's on Twitter at Russ Mitchell CFB College Football News. I know I saw College Football News put out spring bowl projections. I want to get to that in a second. But what do you think also about? No, well, we'll get to that in a second. Bama 10.5.
I think Bama's shaping up really good for next year.
What's in the cup?
They start USC. What's in the cup? You could hear that, huh? No comment, baby. I'm doing a little Pat Summerall over here. That's a bunch of young whippersnappers will head to the Google now.
Little Harry Doyle.
Pat Summerall. What was his bag? Yes. They start against USC. I think USC's in good for a rough season. Talking about schedules, have you seen USC's schedule for next year?
No.
Holy cow, man. I think they start with Bama. Then they go on. They play the Lobos of New Mexico. Then they go on the road to play what's going to be a very improved Stanford team. Arizona State's going to be good next year. Then on the road to Utah. They have a tough schedule, man. Oregon, Washington, Notre Dame. I mean, that's not a pushover schedule that USC has.
So USC will be hiring a new coach this time next year. Or we'll have a new coach this time next year. Okay.
Yes.
So Bama over under 10.5?
I take the over.
Who's the loss? Or do they have a loss?
They have a loss. They lose to LSU in Tiger Stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Obviously, we're waiting to see what Brennan does, but I have a lot of faith in Brennan. I mean, I think that you got to listen to the coaches. The coaches have spoken highly about him. I heard you on one of your shows breaking down an Ed press conference where, it sounded pretty clear that he was pleased with Miles and what he'd already showed. And, they didn't make an effort in the after the championship game, which was the biggest season in the history of college football. They didn't go out looking for a quarterback. So and he's been sitting on the bench for a while, and he's got to play behind arguably the greatest quarterback in the history, or at least in terms of the single season, Joe Burrow. So, and that helps. All that time sitting on the sideline, all that time listening, without having the pressure, that helps. So my bigger concern, obviously, is the offensive line. And we've talked about that already, and I don't think you can just brush over that. An offensive line will make any quarterback look good. And, I think there's probably a loss early in the stadium for LSU. I don't know if it'll be the Texas game. Boy, I'm looking forward to that. I really, I'll be there if the game's on. So
why do you keep saying if the game's on? Stop saying that. Stop saying that. We exist in a reality where people are optimistic and the powers that be are saying they're going to have a season. So we're going to exist under that reality, okay?
Well, I think it's a false reality, but okay, then let's just make
keep you off of Twitter,
reality.
man. We got to keep you off of Twitter.
I know. It's just because nobody's paying attention, but whatever.
You need to stop Twitter.
People are finally starting to pay attention now, but let's go back to the schedule. Texas, that's going to be a great game. We could lose that game, obviously. Could have lost the first game.
Who could?
I'm sorry, who are we talking about? Did I say we? I did. I don't know what you're talking about. You're breaking up.
This whole interview has been a beautiful disaster, and I love it. It is so good.
I'm off practice. It's the off season.
You said we 100 times every interview last season.
I should be sleeping. I know it did get ugly towards the end of the season.
You unraveled, bro.
by the time November came around, I was saying we. I was saying we. I was definitely saying we on your show. I said we on ESPN twice. People are like, what? And LSU people didn't even try pretending last year. I mean, Ryan on and there's just Spears were just crazy. Even Burns. By the way, did you promote the video of Burns' kid?
We had Peter on last hour. So, yeah. And he had Bo. He had his daughter Bo with him, and she kept yelling, "Go Tigers," the whole interview. It was great.
Oh, I got to go listen to that.
Yeah, it was good.
That is the way she speaks truth to power. When her mom says, no, roll Tide, and she looks up and says, no, go Tide, right at her mom's face. I was like, that is just the best thing I've ever seen. That is spectacular.
And we had, and so the Burnses are all quarantined, of course. So Lauren was there as well. And so I told Pete, I was like, give Lauren the phone. I want to talk to her. And so we got to rub it in a little with Lauren on air as well. So you go listen to it. It was great. Really good conversation.
I will.
Is Mike Leach a problem at Mississippi State? Got a 4-star quarterback commit.
The problem for the Louisiana State University Tigers?
Yeah, for your team.
Yeah. I mean, it's still Stark Vegas, man. So everybody just take a deep breath. He's never going to turn that into he's never going to turn that into Auburn or LSU or anything like that. But the years of going what's the LSU record against State right now? It's 27-2.
Well, State's beaten LSU twice in the last 5, going back to 2014. They beat them in 2014 and then in Starkville in 2017.
2017, yeah. But before that, you got to go back into the 1990s, right?
It would have been 92. No, it was it was 22 of 23 that LSU had won. 99 was the last time that State had won, the Wayne Matkin game in Starkville.
So there's 2 things you need to know about Mike Leach if you haven't been paying attention. 3. The first thing is he's very entertaining. He's very, very entertaining. You all are going to love him. The second thing is that he hires really good coaches. I don't know what it is, but that cat can spot young talent. And if you go look at his coaching tree from Texas Tech, there's 9 head coaches on that, players or coaches that are now head coaches. So that wasn't that long ago. So, a really good job of being able to identify talent, coaching talent. And then, he scores lots of points. Doesn't matter where he is.
Yeah.
Pullman, Washington. I mean, that's nowhere. That's the moon. The moon has more people than Pullman, Washington, man. Are you kidding me? Holy cow. And I mean, they were in the hunt for the Pac-12 championship. It's he'll score points. It's going to be interesting, but it's still Stark Vegas.
The moon. The moon. All right, Leslie, college football news, bowl projections are out.
No, you said we would talk about Herb Street.
We're really, really running low on time here, and I don't want
to talk about Herb Street.
Oh,
I want to talk about Herb Street.
All right, talk about Herb Street.
Look at you son of a gun. Anybody bagging on Herb Street for basically telling the truth, which is this virus is a novel virus. What does that mean, Matthew? What does novel mean?
It means kickoff, Labor Day weekend, LSU defending national champs, and college football news, bowl projections have LSU in the Citrus Bowl.
Novel means it's never been seen before. If you go to the hospital right now with a respiratory virus, they check you for 7 coronaviruses. But there's lots of coronaviruses. This is a novel one. Novel means nobody has immunity to it. So, if nobody has immunity to it, then that means we're quarantining now to flatten the curve and bring it down so hospitals don't get completely overrun. And if your dad has a heart attack, there's an IC room for him to go to. That's what we're doing right now. But the only way this virus goes away, really goes away now that it's a global pandemic, is either a lot of time goes by and everybody gets this, or we get a vaccine, and there's not going to be a vaccine. And, after the technological miracle, not going to be a vaccine by August.
Okay, so bold projections
season.
for college football news have LSU in the Citrus Bowl. What do you think about LSU? Because that would not fall in line with your projection of over 9 wins, would it?
Against Wisconsin.
I know. How boring would that be?
That's because guess what school Pete went to?
Did Futek go to Wisconsin? Well, why would he want to see that?
Because he wants to play against me. He's been listening to me talk. Wow, I nearly swore too, man. I'm really off. I'm off. He wants to have Wisconsin play LSU.
Russ, I love you. It's great to chat.
I love you too. Everybody, please be careful. Please be careful.
Wash your hands
all you guys.
and stop picking your nose.
And stay indoors and be safe.
All right. We'll see you later.